The sun sets early. The leaves crunch beneath your feet. The wind is brisk and chilly. The cozy feelings of the holidays are just around the corner. So while you put your favorite sweatshirt on, the Cats are looking to win their final game of the fall semester. So snuggle up with some soup, hot cocoa, and your favorite blanket. And hello, UNI Panther fans and Overwatch fans alike. Welcome to Week 8 of the PCL Central 6 Division regular season, where your 2-5 University of Northern Iowa Panthers from Cedar Falls, Iowa will play for the final time this semester against the 3-4 University of Montevallo Falcons from Montevallo, Alabama. And also for the final time this semester, Bill is in production, Joe is in the booth, and my name is Hunter. Joe, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, Hunter. Thank you for the awesome intro. I'm excited to be casting gold this week. Normally we cast purple, so it should be a little bit of an interesting change of pace for us.
Yeah, I completely agree. I'm really looking forward to what these teams kind of have cooked up, not only in the composition side of things, but also in the meta side of bans and map selection, because we're so used to Purple Team. And I felt like I kind of dragged on with the questions to you, Joe, about like, oh, what map are we selecting today? What bans are we going to see today? And we always kind of expected a specific answer. But now, clean slate, we don't know anything about these teams. Gonna be interesting to see what will come out of this series.
Yeah, so I'm interested. We see for at least the purple team, they're pretty comfortable for this first map. I'll talk about the pool in just a sec, but they're pretty comfortable on everything except Antarctic Peninsula, and I wonder if we're going to see something different for this first game tonight. For the first game, okay, so the whole series is best 3 out of 5. And the first map pool is for control. It's going to be Busan, Oasis, Antarctic Peninsula, and Ilios. Right now, they have Ilios hovered. I don't know if they're going to keep it, but they're going to pick a map, and they also have hero bans. So each team gets to ban one hero per game, and then they can't ban that hero again after. So say game one team bans Ash, the other team bans Reinhardt. Those guys can't ban those heroes again for the rest of the series, but the other team could. So I don't know what we're going to see here. I would be happy to see Ilios. I like Ilios.
Yes, as the known Lucio player,
Yes.
Love those environmental kills.
Yeah, what map do you want to see here?
So for me personally, again, I feel like we're going to see Ilios just based off of not knowing much about either of these teams. So Ilios is a very, neutral map in that regard. Same thing with like Oasis. If we see more of a brawly composition, I remember from past that Deep Sea, as their tank, usually likes to play more brawly style tanks. So I would definitely see maybe an Orisa or a Sigma or a Ramatra from Deep Sea. And I feel like that would lean more of the side for Oasis. But that's needless to say, if they don't ban a tank or anything like that, because we've seen Purple Team ban tanks before, would be interesting to see what kind of bans would come out. So, Joe, if you were
I don't know.
yeah.
Oh, sorry, you were cutting out there. I didn't mean to
Sorry.
cut you off.
No, you're perfect. I was just going to lead you up. So, like, what kind of bans do you think we're going to see here if you were the coach of Gold Team?
I don't know. I mean, we've seen a lot of the Wuyong on ults with like a Tracer, a Genji in the purple team games. But because this is, I think that they are technically a lower skill division, I don't know how that works out. Are they? I don't want to be wrong here.
So if we take UNI Purple Team, I believe they are in the class of, I want to say Grandmaster. Yes, Grandmaster 1 and below. For our specific division, we are looking at Diamond 2 and below. So there is somewhat of a skill drop-off just based off of, the average of the teams, based off of what they placed at the beginning of the season. So because of that, and still being in Diamond, I would still like to think that they would maybe come out with the Wu Young and the Tracer. Maybe if they pick like Hollywood, for example. I know White Team played earlier today. They had an Ana on a Hollywood selection for the map. So maybe see that. And as we see the first ban come in, it is going to be Ana.
Okay, so we know UNI is going to ban Ana, so that leaves. I don't know what else would we ban. Or would LZ ban? Here?
So for if the ban's Ana, I would more lean on the side of banning Tracer. If they know anything about UNI and kind of like how they play, maybe a Sojourn would be a really good ban here, but it's actually going to be a ban on Junker Queen.
Interesting. We don't ever really see Junker Queen bans.
No,
So.
which makes me wonder what kind of composition we're going to see.
Yeah.
As it looks like Ilios is going to be our map. So here we go. Joe, we're in it here for week 8 on Control. Going to Ilios, JQ ban, Ana ban. I'm here for it.
Yeah, and it's interesting because it's neither of the environmental kill heavy maps first. We're going to be seeing the ruins or whatever they want to call it here. For this map, it's a lot of long sight lines. The only really spot for the environmental kills is the one side of it. So I wonder if we'll see, I don't know, maybe some sniper picks. Like I think Widowmaker is pretty popular on this one. I think Pharah is pretty popular on all 3 of the maps here. So I wonder if we'll see that as well. We saw Wu Yong hover for a second from UM, but I don't know if they're actually going to go for it. And UNI are also hovering Wu Yong right now. So we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. For your Panthers, the starters are going to be Deep Sea, T-Man Upstairs, Beals, McGoated, and Cheryl Simp, while the Falcons will have Easy J, Bana, Zevidal Boy, Gandoof, and Inquiries. So really interesting kind of compositions we're seeing here, Joe.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of value come out of this Wu Yong on both teams, especially on UNI's side. Having the Venture Wu Yong combo could be pretty good. We'll see how Cheryl Simp and Beals, work together and deal with that this game. I think it also could be good on the Hazard, no?
Yeah, I completely agree. And Hazard's actually a really good map selection or character selection for this map. Just because you have that zoning available to you, and Zevidal Boy is going to go down first by the Venture from Cheryl Simp.
Yep, looks like Deep Sea's going in here, getting a pick onto Gandoof with McGoated, turning it into a 4v5. Oh, Easy J is going down to 1 HP, but he does end up falling, and it looks like UNI are gonna have more members alive, but being pushed back. Or they're pushing back my bad.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, looks like UNI will go ahead and get the first couple ticks, and from what I saw on that kind of first team fight is you got the first pick, and then you kind of nail it down from there. You get 1 pick and so on and so forth. So a really good job. UNI going to go ahead and get that first pick as Cheryl Simp from behind able to get Bana or Bana.
Yeah, jumping out here, getting the pick onto Gandoof as well as 3 members of UM down. Only 1 member down for UNI. Beals getting back during that team kill. UNI's got 35% on this point. They are feeling pretty good. Looks like. Yeah, nobody's really got ults yet.
Yeah, I was looking at that too, and of course it looks like the first one is going to be Cheryl Simp and Deep Sea to their ults, where the Falcons will have Easy J, basically the only one close to getting any ults. So UNI at the ult advantage already, which is pretty strong considering you're at 55% ticked over.
Look at this, Hunter. UM group up really well and go along the side of the point and kind of push UNI back. And now it's kind of fighting side to side on the point. Now we do have some characters going down. There's 2 members of UNI down here, 3 members now. Well, there's 4 members up for UM. They get to just kind of push. Venture getting caught out there. And it looks like it's just Deep Sea left. Oh, he's going to be fighting, but it is not enough.
Yeah, at least UNI will go ahead and get 74% ticked over. The great thing, like you kind of mentioned there at the start of the team fight, is UM did a really great job at just kind of playing together and kind of initiating. And again, same situation. You get the first pick, you focus on the next character on the opposing team, and you just move on and so forth. So a really well executed team fight for UM.
Yeah, UNI are going to have to work together a little bit here. They do have some ults ready to use, but so do UM. Both teams have a Kitsune Rush. Okay, UNI is going to start it first. Actually, both tanks going to be ulting each other. Kitsune Rush coming out from UM. UNI getting kind of pushed back, but McGoated, the Death Blossom, it's not good enough. He goes down. EZJ getting healed by Inquiries here. Pretty close fight. UNI still on the point here, Hunter. It is a 4v3, but UNI are getting pushed off or 4v2 as they do go down there. Unfortunate push.
It was unfortunate, and for UNI, it's unfortunate that you use Deep Sea's kind of hazard ult. I mean, it was still really well executed. I just feel like the ult response was more there for UM, and of course that Kitsune rush, you know, you get the DPS kind of boost, you get the movement speed boost, and that was really beneficial for UM in that team fight.
Okay, we're gonna see Wu Young ult on to Deep Sea here. Beals and Deep Sea working together. It's good. He got at least one. Zevito Boy got stunned. Deep Sea gonna keep going in here. Looking at the other hazard right now, just kind of making space for his team. Meanwhile, McGoated is getting in there and getting active. Wu Young also getting in. The Juno ult coming out from UM and a Kitsune rush coming out from UNI. The man upstairs, team man upstairs, gonna be going down. 2 members of UNI down. 2 members of UM down, though, Hunter. I don't know. This is kind of an even fight. It's 2v2 on the point here.
Yeah, Cheryl Simp gonna have to really stay alive here, and Kite EZJ unfortunately goes down right there, but Deep Sea able to still contest on point. 98% ticked over.
Crazy.
Unfortunately goes down, but overtime is there if UNI gets there just in time. But Zevito Boy with the Death Blossom able to find one. McGoated able to touch though, but goes down.
He does go down.
And you know, that was a really good kind of play there for UM. Of course, they had their support ultimates, which I ultimately feel like was the difference here, because I didn't feel like UNI really utilized their ultimates in this first point as well. And of course, all it takes is one well-placed ultimate to kind of change the tide of a team fight. And I feel like UM did a great job there.
Yeah, I completely agree. I feel like UNI's use of the Tidal Blast from Wu Yang on Beals combined with Deep Sea's Engage was pretty good, but I feel like other members of UNI maybe weren't quite ready for that, and things got a little out of hand really fast. But I think going into this round 2 here, and for the rest of the games tonight, as long as UNI is locking in and, you know, getting the picks, I think that they can do this because both teams seem relatively evenly matched.
It looks like no changes are coming from either side on characters, as EZJ will go ahead and get the first initiation kind of pokes to the side of UNI. And of course, Gandoof, though, on the Sojourn, already at 100% charge. It gets the right click on Beals. Really nasty as UNI is going to try and focus that. But Zevito Boy working around the well. And Zevito Boy able to pick up Mick Goated. Gandoof already taking out T-Man upstairs, and UNI so far has no answer for this DPS, and I feel like it again comes down to the resource distribution, because UNI has Wu Yang and Kiriko. Of course, that's usually what you see in the meta, but I just don't feel like they're playing a part in this composition here, Joe.
Yeah, I think what UNI needs to maybe think about here, because they do have the Venture dive possibility compared to the Sojourn area denial. I think that UNI is kind of succumbing to that area denial from the Sojourn E, and they're having a hard time getting in there and flanking, especially with that hazard. But right now, UNI and UM are fighting each other right outside the point. Deep Sea getting it kicked off, finds the first pick. Beals also finding a pick here. Deep Sea's going to be trying to make it space while his teammate runs, but it's going to work out. Meanwhile, McGoated going in on this Juno. One more shot, lands the flashbang to get the kill. And that's all members of UM going to be going down there. Not quite a team kill, but UNI are going to be able to cap the point off that.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. We're looking at classic Overwatch here, where whoever gets the first pick is going to usually win that team fight, because these teams are so well skilled kind of equivalently. And of course right there, Deep Sea able to go in, and he's going to go ahead and ult. Unfortunately goes down to Zevito Boy, but UNI again still trying to create spaces. Zevito Boy in the back line tried to take out Cheryl Simp, however able to take out Cheryl Simp, but Beals goes down as well. UNI still fighting on the point. McGoated trying to get the offhand, but EZJ in the back line, able to take out T-Man upstairs, but McGoated with the flashbang, able to pick up one. Inquiries with the torpedo, able to take out McGoated, and EZJ just kind of walking whatever space he wants on the point.
In comes the Juno ult from Inquiries, and a Kitsune rush coming out for UM. 2 support ults for UM. They're going to try to do their best to push off this. I think that's a lot of commitment for this point. They did already basically have it. I think UNI might be able to capitalize off that, but they do have to keep in mind that EZJ, Zevil Boy, and Gandoof all have their ults ready to use. So they're gonna have to be careful here. I think maybe a Wuyong ult onto the Hazard or the Venture can get things kicked off, but as soon as you do that, you gotta be watching out for Death Blossom, and you gotta watch out for EZJ's the Hazard Rain ultimate. I don't know the name of that off the top of my head.
Hazard ult.
Okay, here comes Reaper. Zevil Boy TPing in to make goaded here. Wanted to Death Blossom, but his team was able to get the pick anyways. Meanwhile, the rest of UNI are stuck in this hallway, and EZJ is pissed. He's running at them. They do find a pick, a little bit of a trade for both teams there. There's Venture coming out of the ground, and I think members of UNI, they're just going to have to be on the back foot here and just kind of regroup and rearm and get ready to push again. The point is almost ticked all the way over. Okay, bring in the rain for EZJ. Gonna hit a couple members of UNI. Oh, and the Death Blossom combo. Zevil Boy getting a lot of value with EZJ. Meanwhile, the Wuyong ult coming out from Beals. I don't know who it went on, but Goated found a pick on Enquiries. EZJ looking for him. Finally found him at the end.
Yeah, just like that. That's game one.
Game one. Yeah, game one going to UM.
Yeah, Montevallo did a really good job. Kind of like what we mentioned was cycling through those ultimates. I feel like what you mentioned on that last team fight, UNI needed to use an ultimate. They didn't, and it would have been nice to get the initiation on Wuyong. See, the issue is that you are trying to hold on to your ultimate for the perfect ult, like the 4K. That's not always going to happen. Sometimes you just need to cycle it just to get some value. And as we saw here in the play of the game, right, it all comes down to that support play and being able to utilize those resources. And I feel like UNI, even though they had a meta duo, it wasn't enough because you were spread out and you weren't cycling through any of your support ultimates. I didn't feel like nothing really mattered. And I feel like UNI just maybe needs to shake off the rust here going into game two.
Yeah, it honestly looks like UNI just need to warm up a little bit here. I think the you said something pretty important there. They were spread out a lot. There was a lot of times where UNI were working together, and then all of a sudden they would be in different places, and nobody was individually or like two people at a time was really getting any value out of being split up. I mean, a couple of times it worked. Like at one point, Mick Goated did get a Cassidy pick on the Juno, going out onto his own, but there are other times where his team may have been able to use him, or I don't know. But going into game two here, we're going to be looking at a different map pool. It is going to be.
I sure hope so.
It is going to be
mode.
hybrid. It's going to be hybrid, and we're going to be looking at Numbani, Kings Row, Midtown, or Hollywood.
If I'm UNI, just based off of seeing things here, I would pick Kings Row. We know that it's a good map. It's good for the pseudo brawl. We saw both teams kind of mirror the Hazard, and I would almost want to see something a little bit different from Deep Sea. Of course, we've seen him in the past do a really good Ramatra. I would maybe like to see a Rom here, or if you're on defense, maybe an Orisa, because I'd hate to say it, here live, but I feel like EZJ was able to kind of walk over Deep Sea on that Hazard mirror just because he was able to take the space and able to use Jagged Wall kind of very effectively and kind of initiate very well. So I would really like to see Deep Sea maybe sit more in a more comfortable character or for him playing tank. And I feel like the best way to do that would be on a tank neutral map like Kings Row. What's your thoughts, Joe?
Yeah, I agree. I think also maybe you and I might want to consider a Kiriko ban, because that Bana, was doing the Lord's work on Kiriko that last game, and felt like they always had an edge, especially with their Kitsune rushes on UNI. So maybe consider that for hybrid or for one of the other modes. I think maybe you and I need to not go with the venture pick, because I feel like they didn't get a ton of value out of that. And maybe pick up something with area denial, that like how did, like maybe a Sojourn, maybe a May, maybe even a Junkrat. I haven't seen Junkrat in a while. Something that can kind of keep people out of one space and kind of split them up a little bit, because that's what was happening to UNI a lot that game, is that they were not only playing a little bit not together, but they were also being forcibly split apart by things like that Hazard Wall, things like that Sojourn ball thing. So we'll see how it
Yeah.
goes. I hope we do see Kings Row, by the way. I want to see Kings Row.
Yeah, I would really like to also see more flank characters come out from UNI. Of course, we've seen Unlasting on Purple Team able to go ahead and get the Genji, because I feel like because of the play style of these Falcons, you could divide and conquer fairly easily by having some kind of flank, whether that be a Tracer, maybe a Sombra. I would even wonder if that would help. To just something that gets two different attention kind of needs within a team fight. And I feel like UNI, when it comes to that one-on-one matchup, especially on DPS, I feel like UNI could maybe get some value there. Otherwise, I also agree with you. Ban the Kiri. I feel like even though McGoated or Beals, does a really good Kiri, I just feel like that Suzu was always there. That Kitsune Rush was always being used at least every third team fight initiation. So I feel like Kiriko would be a good ban. I would also wonder if maybe Hazard would be a good ban. If EZJ's only character is Hazard, maybe that might be something to think about too.
Yeah, maybe. I also want to point out, it looks like UNI does have a little bit of a roster switch up. It looks like they're going to be swapping out Team Man upstairs for Pop Tart.
Pop Tart's coming in. Which really like to see, of course, Pop Tart, multi-team player on Valorant Purple Team. So able to go ahead and very gifted mechanically. So really excited to see what he could do. Probably playing the DPS role. And of course, we've seen Mr. Sirclaps, who was also on the Valorant team. Really good DPS, really good Kiri, from what I remember.
Yeah.
And it all comes down to that mechanics, and especially when you're in a game like Valorant where mechanics matter a lot, really like to see the switch up here for Pop Tart on DPS.
Yep. So really quick, while the teams figure out who gets bans, because that does seem to be a little bit of a theme so far with actually like all of the teams, as the PCL rules are a little confusing. So while they're doing that, if you guys want to support Panther Esports and represent us, you can go ahead and type !merch or scroll down and click on the merch button. I'll take you to guardianproline.com/collection/northern-iowa-panther-esports. For this fall weather and winter weather coming soon, there are sweatshirts and beanies, and for more formal attire, there are polos, and for more casual sport oriented attire, there are jerseys. Makes a great gift for someone in the holiday season, and it's a great way to represent us. If you guys want to support us more directly, you can type !donate, and it will take you to our current fundraiser. We're on a mission to raise $10,000 for 6 new PCs, and every donation helps a dream come true. With that, it'll help level up our lounge capacity, it'll help us host more tournaments, it'll help build community, and it'll help future esports generations. So if you guys want to support us, go to our merch link or our donate link. Otherwise, check out our socials. There's YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. I think anybody can join the Discord too. But
Yes.
yeah, I don't know. Are they still
Also,
working it out here?
yeah, they're still talking about the Nasdaq now.
Yeah, they are. The hell?
They are talking about the Nasdaq right now. But also, Panther fans, if you are wanting to watch the only Rocket League tournament in the state of Iowa, we're going to be live streaming starting 1 p.m. on Saturday, where the top 8 teams from a round robin play will play in a double elimination bracket in the Mocker Union at the gaming lounge. So if you want to support UNI Panther Esports, I believe they have a couple teams playing there. Also, I believe there's some teams. I believe Waldorf is probably going to be in it. I don't want to actually quote it, if they are or if they not. But if you want to learn more information, go to our start.gg. That will have our current standings for pool play. Otherwise, come back to this main channel 1 p.m. on Saturday and catch Rocket League LAN tournament.
Right. I think it's too late to sign up for that, right?
It is beyond. We are in the middle of pool play right now.
Okay.
So no signing up, but you can definitely watch.
Okay, so while they're figuring it out, I can talk about bans really quick. So UNI banned. Who'd they ban? I know banned Junker Queen. I can't remember who UNI banned. Ana.
Yes, UNI banned Ana for map 1.
Okay, so that means that UNI can't ban Ana the rest of the series, but could. And on the flip side, can't ban Junker Queen for the rest of the series, but UNI could. So that is just kind of how the hero bans work in this. A little bit different than your solo queue games where people kind of vote on everybody. It looks like UNI are going to go ahead and ban Sojourn for this Kings Row game.
Yeah, I really do like that Sojourn ban, just because we saw them go absolutely kind of crazy. Of course, we saw that especially on point 2 at Well, just the initial like easy charge to 100%, get the right click. And again, typical Overwatch first team pick usually means the first team fight win. So really like the Sojourn ban. What's your thoughts on it?
I agree. I think it was pretty hard for UNI to deal with, that it's one thing if they're not playing together. It's another thing if they're forced to not be able to play together because of a Sojourn ball, or if somebody gets just one tap by a Sojourn. So I think that is maybe what they're thinking about. I worry that maybe there's like a Freya player in this game and we're going to see that come out now. In no way ban Rhine on King's Row. That is some crazy, crazy stuff.
That is diabolical. I want to see what Deep Sea's like play is on Rhine, because I would almost want to think like, because think about it too. This is the second time that has banned a tank, so they've got something against tanks players, man. That I just don't. I don't know. It's diabolical.
Yeah, so I'm seeing in the chat, maybe I don't know if Deep Sea is joking or not, but he's saying he's a Rhine main, so maybe
I would agree with
UM's a
this
little,
though.
maybe they're a little afraid of him. We're coming in here, and I think that means that UNI is going to be defending first. So am I reading this wrong?
Yes, I believe so. If yeah, blue is no blue's defense first. I can't. Oh, why am I drawing a blank here?
Okay, so the Falcons are defending first.
Believe so. Yeah, because red's usually attacker.
Okay, so
It
we'll see what teams
looks
pick.
like, yeah.
Usually the attacker team will shuffle around. So we'll try to point out who's going to be defending first. Let's see.
Yes, so it will
Yeah,
be
blue's defending. You're right.
the Falcons. So Montevallo is going to go ahead pick Hazard again, which I feel like UNI kind of missed an opportunity on that ban. It's going to be an Ana, Reaper, May, and Juno.
Yep, and UNI Deep Sea hovering the Zarya pick. I kind of like that. Zarya is
I
one of
do.
those tanks. It's like, as if you're getting value on Zarya, there's not really a ton that the enemy tank could do other than also go Zarya, because Zarya just has a tendency to run people down once she gets lots of charge. So we'll have to see how UNI play it. They're going to be hovering the Widowmaker pick, maybe for a cheeky little snipe
Yeah.
at the start here. That is pretty classic on King's Row. But otherwise, we're looking at a Genji, a Wuyong, and a Kiriko. Here comes the Widow look.
A nice May wall already out is Pop-Tart. Gonna look for that Juno pick. Or just any kind of squishy.
Oof.
Oh, misses the shot, unfortunately, but...
Look, Deep Sea's already at 78, 95%
95.
charge.
Absolutely.
So starting off the game with a ton of damage ready to use here, trying to get the Mei down, but not quite, as McGoated ends up getting picked off.
Oh, man.
UNI gonna have to fall back.
Missed opportunity for UNI there. Of course, you know, when the May's down that low, you got to communicate with your team that May is literally won. And especially when you're in hotel like that, you have to, because it's such an enclosed space. And I feel like UNI really missed an opportunity to kind of get that first pick and kind of capitalize and start walking on that high Zarya charge. As we see already, another high charge Zarya. And again, with the missed opportunities that UNI has here, 3 members of UNI already down, make it 4 as McGoated finally falls to EasyJ. Again, this Hazard play has been just absolutely great, and the association or the assistance by his team to assist him, it's all coming down to communication here, Joe.
Yeah, it is, and UNI's having a really hard time killing Gandoof's Mei. Keeps getting down to 1 and using the little icicle. Oh, members are gonna get low here as UNI lose McGoated. We've got the Juno laser and the Mei ult pretty much ready to use on side, but for UNI, they don't have anything to use yet. Maybe Deep Sea's Graviton Surge soon, but might be too little too late. EasyJ is getting pretty low. He's gonna make it out of there. I don't know.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting because I feel like Deep Sea is just playing too far forward, but that's not necessarily his fault. He's got to set the tempo and the offense.
Yeah.
Because he's playing Zarya, and he has
Here comes
that bubble.
EasyJ's ult. Gonna find a couple of members of UNI. They end up getting 2. Deep Sea trades for EasyJ here. It's a 4v3. Make it a 4v2? No, 4v3. Yeah, I can't do math. Now it's a 4v2. As UNI are gonna be pushing forward. Don't have to use any ults there. That's pretty good, especially because EasyJ used the Hazard Rain.
And I feel like the big thing there is after that missed Widow pick, Pop-Tart did swap to the Freya, which against a Mei wall,
Oh, they're not
exactly
done.
what you want. And here comes
the blade.
Able to find 1. He's going to be in the back line. He's going to try to find 2 inside the orbital ray. Deep Sea, though, able to pick up Zevidol Boy, but EasyJ back at it again, able to pick up Pop-Tart. The Blizzard! And that's what gets UNI right there. The zone clearance and another team fight won for UM.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough for UNI here because, oh, it might not be the worst because UM have no ults ready here, and UNI do have a Graviton Surge. Here it comes, finding 3 members. The wall's coming out, trying to protect them. They do end up living, getting some value. Here comes a Kitsune Rush from Cheryl Sim. 2 members of UM going down. UNI losing 1, losing 2, losing 3. The fight is pretty even here, though, as Deep Sea is doing his best to keep members of UM off, and Beals is up trying to support, and Pop-Tart as well. As UNI do get that cap finally.
Yeah, that was really good there for Deep Sea, able to go ahead, clutch it up, get the final 3 kills. Of course, again, like I mentioned, Zarya is kind of the offense setter because of those bubbles and because of that space that Zarya creates. UNI just has to keep playing around Deep Sea, and right now Deep Sea is kind of carrying as we move on into Streets phase.
Yeah, it looks like UNI are gonna just leave 1 on cart, have everybody else push up here. Maywall coming out, gonna be blocking. McGoated out, he gets picked off by the Mei. Maybe it's time to swap off the Genji. Meanwhile, Pop-Tart's gonna be good in the off angle above and behind him here. His team's getting picked off, and just everybody on UNI gonna be going down there. Team kill.
Yeah, does just a really good job at getting that early pick. Of course, McGoated on the Genji was just a little bit too far out, able to get that pick, even though you had the Zarya bubble to try and escape. But once you go down, just does a really good job at focus firing. As tons of torpedoes coming out for Inquiry. However, Pop-Tart able to go ahead and pick him up. Zevidol Boy able to go ahead and go around the choke, and Pop-Tart eventually going to go down to Zevidol Boy. So really,
there's a ton of walls coming out from this game between the Mei walls and the Hazard walls. It's so hard for UNI to do very much at all. Like we saw when Deep Sea used the Graviton Surge earlier, it was just Hazard wall, then Mei wall, and nobody was able to get a pick, and people just keep getting trapped and protected. It's tough.
Yeah, it is tough, Joe, because the fact of the matter is UNI's playing so spread out, so it's so easy for the Falcons to go ahead and get their 1 separation and 1 pick. And here comes Downpour as Blade will come out for McGoated. He's going to go ahead, try and zone out past the entry, but it's just him. He does pick up Gandu, but Cheryl Simp goes down as well, and UNI again scattered to the winds as Zevidol Boy is going to try and one-on-one.
It's going to be hard for UNI here, because look at the ult economy as well. Gandu's got the Blizzard ready to use. They're going to be right there for when members of UNI show up. Zevidol Boy's going to be having to come back here, which is going to be unfortunate, but we got EasyJ and Banna in the stairs in this saloon here. It's going to be, I think all they do is just got to hang out for a sec and wait for a good Blizzard from Mei. I mean, Deep Sea's got the Graviton Surge about ready to use, and they do have the Tidal Blast and the Bola, but I don't know. I kind of like what has got a little bit more right now. As McGoated does get picked off, that's going to be a huge problem for UNI at the start of this fight. Here comes an Orbital Ray. Oh my god!
Oh.
As the Death Blossom comes out from Zevidol Boy, picks up 3 himself, and EasyJ picks up that last one. UNI I don't think they're going to be able to touch in time here. Deep Sea's going to pick up the JQ. I think you might want to go ball the touch here. Shell Simp's going to switch to Lucio. Pop-Tart's going to switch to Tracer. So a bunch of characters that might be able to help touch here. Here comes the Lucio rollout. Not quite fast enough from Shell Simp as round 1 of this game 2 is going to go over to the Falcons.
Yeah, no, I feel like UNI kind of swapped a little bit too late there. Of course, that is what you want to do when you're dealing with kind of walled characters with the Mei, especially if you're playing like as a Ryan, you need a Lucio to kind of help navigate that movement. And again, UNI is just playing so spread out that they need additional movement to kind of make up for those reaction plays. And like you've already mentioned, Joe, the ult battle, which in my opinion is the most important battle, UNI was losing almost every single time. And like you mentioned, I would feel like that Mei ult is just going to be a momentum killer, and especially if you're going to play Mei on
It's also
offense.
the walls are momentum
Yeah.
killers.
Yes, absolutely. I completely agree. And of course, UNI always had at least one member caught out because one member was just overextended, and just did a really good job at just kind of picking away at UNI.
Yeah, if I'm UNI right now, I'm trying to think maybe what can we do about the walls? What can we do about staying together? Because it is just so tough. It looks like UNI are going to roll out with a Junker Queen, Mei, Wuyong, Reaper, and Kiriko comp for defense. A little interesting, a little all over the place, but I think they can make it work, especially with Pop-Tart if they get some good Mei walls off or if Beals gets a good Tidal Blast off. But Deep Sea's going to have to be really careful here, as are going to go with a Hazard on a Reaper, Mei, and Juno comp. Here comes both Mei walls coming out, both tanks stuck in that little spot looking at each other.
No man's land.
That. Yeah, it was definitely no man's land.
As McGoated able to go ahead and pick up inquiries, and so far we are at a standoff at this choke point. UNI so far doing a really good hold as Bana trying to get some good purples out, get some good heals going as a nice purple goes out on Deep Sea. Of course, able to go ahead and get that back. Cheryl Simp, though, on the Kiriko. Really like that as McGoated is going to be traded out. Gandoof able to go ahead and take him out. And UNI doing a good job so far on this defense, but you got to be mindful of those bio grenades.
Yeah, Beal's finding a cheeky pick onto Bana. I think that's pretty good. The Mei wall to escape the Mei wall. I like that play, Pop-Tart. As they do pick up a cheeky pick onto the Gandoof. That was a little bit of a Mei gap. I saw that.
Yeah, and now we get to see what needs to do to kind of counter swap, as we see that EasyJ isn't getting the space that he needs, allowing Gandoof and, of course, Zevidal Boy not the ability to do here, as McGoated kind of already knows what's going on. TP onto the second floor, able to go ahead and zone him out. So again, this is exactly what UNI needs to do. You need to have a flanker. You need to have this situation.
Blizzard coming out from UNI.
Comes out for Blizzard. Gandoof goes down. UNI looking for more. Zevidal Boy goes down as well. And just a really good cycle of ultimates there for UNI. You get a little value. This is exactly what we needed, Joe.
Yeah, but they gotta be careful, Hunter, because right now it's kind of a battle of attrition where everybody's sitting, building up their ults, maybe looking for a pick or two, and UNI are down one important ult. But Inquiries is gonna use the orbital ray. Good Mei wall coming out from Pop-Tart, blocking members of Meanwhile, Zevidal Boy's looking at UNI's tank, trying to get this Junker Queen. She's gonna go get that health pack and live. Gandoof getting the pick onto Pop-Tart. The Mei diff switches sides. Meanwhile, Zevidal Boy, the huge flank onto Cheryl Simp. Looks, the Ana ult onto Zevidal Boy too. And it looks pretty good for in this fight, as UNI is just getting picked off one by one.
I completely agree. Oh no, that's gotta be interesting. Zevidal Boy ults at the very end. That's gotta be a BM in my opinion. But I mean, he did a really great job at kind of getting the
I bet he wishes he had it right now as the Kiriko ult comes in for UNI. Oh no, they're not able to stop it.
Nope, but the Kitsune Rush, though, able to go ahead, create a little bit space. You've got 3 minutes and 49 seconds to get a hold right here in the choke point, and McGoated, he's going to be looking for his Death Blossom.
Yeah, he
try
really
and
wants
find the right moment, as I wouldn't go there.
It's okay, it worked out.
Yeah,
I wouldn't go there either.
Get EasyJ off the point, but he was already on the exit, but whatever. Deep Sea able to go ahead, get the hammer slash, and here we go! McGoated 2! Able to go ahead and get some value. Get the
fourth,
follow
maybe.
up.
Close enough.
You know what? No, let him have this. gets a stagger, uses the
Get
bio
this.
grenade,
There we go.
and finally finishes off with the melee. So really great job by McGoated, able to go ahead and use that Death Blossom.
Yeah,
So
you and
here we
I,
go, Joe.
they're
We
staring
gotta
down the
reset
barrel.
now.
They're staring down the barrel of Gandoof's Blizzard here in this cramped streets phase. You and I are gonna have to position it really carefully here, and especially watch the grouping. I know that they've had a hard time with grouping so far, but they got to split up as Gandoof gonna pop the Blizzard. Deep Sea gonna get full frozen and purpled. He is dead. Members of UNI are split up. Pop-Tart's gonna be going down. Look it up there. McGoated is gonna be trying to TP out. He makes it out, but now he's got to get through EasyJ. Has to use Wraith form, and he makes it out as the Falcons get really, really close to their cap point here. Gonna be pushing ahead a little bit.
Yeah, UNI is going to need to come back quick, and I would almost like to think that you want to kind of coordinate something here, but EasyJ does have Downpour in his back pocket if he wants to go ahead.
Okay, they're on.
Oh, but they are able to touch, of course. Here comes EasyJ, able to use Downpour, finds tons of members of UNI right there. Inquiry able to go ahead, use the Orbital Ray with some torpedoes, and so much sustain from this Falcons team as EasyJ able to go ahead, pick up Pop-Tart, and he's going to go ahead and do what he does best, take the space around the point. He's going to dive in the backline. Kitsune Rush comes out for UNI. And so far, UNI still not playing together as Deep Sea's going to get slept. That's going to stagger him just enough through the hyper ring of UM. And so far,
Pop-Tart needs to use Blizzard. Pop-Tart, you need to pop a Blizzard on the point here. I don't know where he was, but unfortunate. That was a long time Fiesta at the end there. It was a good ult by Beals on the Wuyong ult. I don't know if you saw, but Beals ulted himself and went in and got a bunch of stuns at the same time as the downpour from EasyJ. But UNI and both teams actually weren't able to get enough picks to fully stop the other team. So it was just a Clown Fiesta trickle.
Yeah, I feel like that's a win condition right now for UNI because Zevital Boy is getting so much value from the Reaper, and there's so much DPS being put down range that UNI is just kind of playing a little bit too spread. So they really need to rein it in. They really need to communicate, and once they get that first pick, they need to communicate that next target. And I feel like they're not doing that. And UM is doing the opposite of that, is that once they get their first pick, I feel like they kind of know who they're going to go after next. Someone might be doing a nice little call out. Of course, we saw Zevital Boy, you know, on that Reaper on that first point when they were attacking, able to go ahead, get the first easy pick, and then immediately, as a flanker, as what you should do, go into the back line and start causing havoc and diverting attention. And that's what we saw a little bit too there successfully for UNI, just a little bit. But again, it wasn't enough.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be tough for UNI because now they are staring down the barrel of a reverse sweep to hopefully get a win for this week. And the first thing that they got to do is win a Flashpoint game, which I think is the hardest game mode, in my opinion. They are looking at either New Junk City or Suravasa here, and they have to win. Otherwise, that is it for them. So I don't know what they're thinking here.
It's really hard if you're the Cats. It doesn't feel like you're getting a lot of value there on tanks. So in my opinion, what would be the best tank pick for Deep Sea for that advantage? And I would almost want to think Suravasa would be a better pick here. Of course, we've seen UNI Purple Team with great success able to go ahead and get Suravasa, but New Junk City, that's more leaned into the JQ side of things. I know we saw Deep Sea play a little bit of JQ and actually get pretty decent staggers there on that first choke in King's Row. So maybe that would be the play there, but it's going to be Suravasa and UNI finally going to ban Hazard.
Yeah, I don't know what we're gonna see here. I think maybe even a tank with a little bit more CC than say Junker Queen, who doesn't have any, would be a good look for UNI here. Maybe an Orisa, maybe even a Sigma, although Sigma's not the best on Flashpoint. I don't know. I think something that could kind of help slow the fights down a little bit so that they can get more control of what's going on would be good for them, because so far it kind of looks like UM is just kind of being the commander of these fights, and UNI has to kind of go along for the ride. And I think a big part of that is having the walls from both Hazard and from May, And UNI are going to go ahead and think about that, and they are going to ban Hazard in this game 3 here, and are going to ban Venture as we go to Saravasa.
Yeah, interesting pick for Venture as the ban. I don't feel like that was really the thorn in UM's side. Of course, the other thing that I would maybe think about banning would be Sojourn. Of course, you know, UNI had that ban on Sojourn last map. Of course, that allows to maybe get that Sojourn ban. So I would think maybe Sojourn. Pop-Tart did a really good job playing the Freya. So I feel like, especially on that attack side of things, that Freya would have been a good selection as a ban if I was But I don't know. The Venture pick I feel like is a comfort pick, and now you're going to be down a comfort pick DPS. I wonder what the composition is going to look like.
Yeah, also Venture is pretty good in Flashpoint, so maybe that's a good idea. I don't know. I think UNI could benefit from maybe a different support. I don't know if I'd get rid of the Wuyong or the Kiriko, but I think something like a Lucio could look pretty good for them. I don't really know how much value the Juno is giving but I guess it's working. So we'll see how it goes. A lot of different picks being hovered so far, but I don't know who's going to go what quite yet.
Yeah, with the point just about to unlock, I don't know what I would expect to see from UNI or from this situation, because the Hazard ban, and I feel like EasyJ just does a really good job with Hazard. Deep Sea could probably pick out the Zarya. Again, you get a high charge Zarya. Deep Sea did a really good job at swapping to Zarya, so I would almost like to see that. But interesting selection from both of these teams, I feel.
Yeah, we're seeing Deep Sea hovering the JQ. We're seeing EasyJ hover the Doomfist. I think Doomfist, if you can play him, is really strong on Flashpoint. There's a lot of short to medium range engagements on this map. There's a lot more long range ones, but just there's so many like small places that Doomfist and even Wrecking Ball can benefit from. So not surprised we see that, but it looks like are going to go with the Doomfist, Kiriko, Reaper, Mei, Lucio comp, and UNI are going to have a Junker Queen, Cassidy, Reaper, Wuyong, and Kiriko comp.
EasyJ already taking that space with that Doomfist leap, and already is in prime position as this point is just about to unlock. UNI is going to need to force through together, but Deep Sea able to go ahead, able to get one. However, 2 go down for UNI, make it 3. As Bana on the Kiriko, able to go ahead and get tons of value from that kunai.
Yeah, I think Orisa could be a good pickup for UNI here. I think it would help get rid of the Mei walls and would help answer the Doomfist a little bit, but Cheryl Simp able to barely make it away from EasyJ there. Nice work. As they're going to regroup, and remember Hunter and Flashpoint, the points tick up way faster than normal, and is already at 25% picked over, so UNI got to think fast. This Mei wall is so devastating for UNI though, every single time.
But McGoated able to pick up EasyJ. Yeah. So UNI already gonna press W here. Zevidal Boy gonna be in the back line, but you got Pop-Tart and you have Flashbang able to get it. Fan the hammer, way to go. Pop-Tart able to pick up Zevidal Boy.
I like that Flashbang, the Zevidal Boy's face.
Yeah. Sometimes you just gotta flash and fan. Flash and fan.
Yeah, UNI are getting a little bit better at dealing with the Mei wall here. They got really devastated by it on that first push, but the second push it's not really working out. Deep Sea pushing forward on the JQ here. I do like the JQ pick on Flashpoint. It's pretty fun. It's a lot more brawly. She's a brawly character. So zoning all 5 members of right now. Here comes the Kitsune rush from Here comes EasyJ into UNI's backline. They pick up 2 picks on UNI. Magoda getting a trade, but Zevidal Boy getting another kill. Magoda getting it even more even.
Getting 2 picks on the Death Blossom, and already McGoated able to go ahead, get the spray, and the team kill. UNI gonna go ahead and win that team fight.
Yeah, UNI's DPS duo, Pop-Tart and McGoated, cleaning things up and keeping the dream alive. There goes EasyJ to the Flashbang, trying to punch out, but that Flashbang.
It all comes down to the
Pop-Tart.
Yeah, Pop-Tart mechanics, man. These Valorant players on DPS is absolutely devastating. As overtime's going to take over. Pop-Tart with the Deadeye. Zevidal Boy going to finally pop Death Blossom, as Gandoof going to go ahead, try and get the zone out at 99% tick for UNI. And UNI goes down in quick succession. And really good kind of usage of ults there, especially Gandoof's Blizzard.
Yeah, Gandoof's Blizzard all night tonight has been really hard for UNI to deal with,
Absolutely.
and especially on these like control point type situations, you just toss the Blizzard on. Like in any kind of game mode in this game, just toss the Blizzard on the place people have to be, and then you just win. So right now we're going to see Katsune Rush coming out from Cheryl Sint. UNI going to be pushing in with speed and aggression, Hunter. As members of UM are getting low, but they're not quite dying. UNI finally find 2 picks. Turn it into a 5v3. Pop-Tart getting really low, but he lives. And all members of UNI are going to be alive right now as it's just EZJ holding the hopes and dreams of UM's first point. And he's going to let them fall as he falls.
And another team kill for UNI. Maybe UNI's secret sauce was just play Brawl Comp this entire series, as UNI is going to go ahead and get the first point. Another thing to note, too,
I like
Joe,
the Brig pick from UNI.
That's exactly what I was going to mention. I love this Brig pick, especially into a Reaper. And then you got the Flashbang, you got the Kunai with Cheryl Simp and the Suzu. That plays really well. So far I feel like UNI firing all cylinders as we're heading to point 2 here in Servasa.
Yeah, Beals is getting their Brigitte rally up pretty soon, but they have to be careful when they use it because there's so many important things on UM's teams that they do have to use the shield bash. They can't, but here comes Deep Sea's Rampage, and it's not going to get a ton of value. I mean, it's just going to, okay, it didn't get any direct value, Hunter. It kind of caught people off guard. It made them react to it. And UNI did a great job while UM was reacting to get those picks that they needed. They got that May popsicle, icicle, whatever you want to call it, and they were able to focus her down as Gandoof.
Yeah, and here's the first swap that we've seen come out for EZJ onto the Zarya. So we're forcing the Zarya play too. So Deep Sea presence is finally known on that DPS space, and of course Pop-Tart has his Deadeye ready, and I would be interested to see him maybe utilize this.
He comes the Deadeye
ahead and use it.
Finds 2 with the Reaper ult, finding a 3rd there. 2 members of UM are left. 1 member is EZJ. He's going to run for his life on the Zarya, maybe try to preserve charge there.
Yeah, really great job. Again, UNI doing exactly what they need to do. They need to cycle through ultimates. They don't want to overcommit ultimates, but, you know, you kind of utilize the DPS duo. And at this point, you know, when you're using Death Blossom and you're getting the HP down, it's easy to just kind of flash Deadeye and get the quick, easy kill. So really great job from the DPS duo here.
You see 2 ults coming out from UM. Katsune Rush into Death Blossom finds 1 pick onto UNI, but UNI trade. It's a 4v4 on point right now. Juno coming in behind, trying to heal everybody up, but Deep Sea gonna be finding Zevodol Boy. It takes him down, looking for more. He finds the Enquiries Juno. Meanwhile, the rally coming out from Beals. Yeah, it's a really good rally, as they are gonna beat EZJ to death. Just kidding, he blows himself up. As UNI finally finding their footing this game, Hunter. They are looking at 2 points over UM, and all they need to do is win 1 more point, and they're able to pick up this game 3 and start that reverse sweep that they're going to need.
Absolutely. So let's get some Go Cats in the chat, and hopefully
Go Cats.
On this final point too, of course, there's some verticality to it, which you can get a lot of value if you're Pop-Tart, if you are able to position just right to get your DPS down range. But Bana with the Kunai getting a couple ticks, and already McGoated below half HP. But Beals with the chain whip, able to go ahead and get
Blizzard. It's a huge Blizzard. 3 members of UNI are in that Blizzard, as Gandu finds 2, looking for a 3rd onto Pop-Tart here. Completely swinging the fight out of UNI's favor as they find a 3rd. Here comes Reaper at the TP in. Oh, the Death Blossom coming out from McGoated finds 1. Is he going to find another onto Gandoof? Does find Gandoof. McGoated fighting for his life, fighting for UNI. Does end up going down. Unfortunate for UNI.
That was so unfortunate. I was rooting for McGoated there, of course. What I thought was going to be a tide-turning set of events, unfortunately, goes down to like a 5 HP Zevodol Boy. Really unfortunate there, but UNI still going to go ahead and get the point contested.
A grab,
kind of fat. EZJ kind of working in the back line, gonna look for some squishies, able to get McGoated as Katsune Rush comes out.
Oh, the wall. Oh, and the
Rampage.
Rampage.
For the reckoning. Just all of the ults come out for UNI, and UNI is going down. Deep Sea is getting melted, and a team kill for the Falcons. That was just absolutely disgusting. UNI is going to need to come back from that.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. We're going to see DeepSea pick up the Rhine finally. It's a good counter versus Zarya. It's kind of hard to play into Mei. It's kind of hard to play into Reaper. But maybe he can make it work. UNI got to work together here. They only have a Kitsune Rush to try to retake this point. Maybe a Brig ultimate coming out. But, okay, here comes the Kitsune Rush from UNI. DeepSea. Oh no, and Cheryl Simp and Beals all going to be going down at the start of the fight. And that's going to be, at this point, taken over for surely. Pop-Tart, you're going to try to touch, but I think maybe you should have just run there. Or killed yourself off the edge. I don't know.
Yeah, from the way that UNI was playing, I was sure that that was going to be the final point. I totally forgot that UNI's up 2-1 already in this kind of points selection here. So they got to go back and do it again. And you got DeepSea on the Rhine, of course. Self-proclaimed Rhine main.
Here goes Blizzard again for and a Death Blossom for UNI, trying to keep people out of the Blizzard. But Zevidal Boy is going to be TPing into the backline, has to deal with Beals' Brig, and he gets the smack beat out of him as the rest of UNI find picks onto It's just Bana on the Kiriko, going to be running for their life, but not fast enough as UNI gets a team kill at the start of this point. UNI did a great job, Hunter. We didn't say anything, but they were all grouped right at the start of the point here.
Absolutely, and I feel like that just comes down to DeepSea, and maybe their communication is finally kind of taking its next step here, because UNI, like you said, was playing together. They were kind of communicating. Once somebody got picked, they were able to communicate and peel, as DeepSea already going to try and get some zone out, get some charge. Pop-Tart going to try and work around as Kitsune Rush is going to go in. Zevidal Boy able to pick up Beals, and Pop-Tart in the back line going to use Deadeye. Finds one. Inquiry go down, and Zevidal Boy finally goes down to McGoated. And Pop-Tart in the back line, gonna try and get that off angle like you mentioned, Joe. As 50% ticks over for UNI, this is looking pretty good.
It's good to see Pop-Tart making that off angle work on the Cassidy there, because if he didn't do it, it was going to be pretty bad. Like his team was going to get run over, but he was able to. As UNI have 70% ticked over here, we're going to see EZJ launch a deep Graviton Surge here. I'm calling it. I think it's their only chance of coming back here, and maybe Enquiry's going to be using an orbital ray. Okay, here's the grab. It's going to get 3 or 4 members of UNI, but the hammer comes down from DeepSea. He's going to be trying to survive. Meanwhile, Beals is smacking the crap out of Zevidal Boy's Reaper again. He's not learning as Enquiry's gets a pick midway through the fight, but UNI are going to get a team kill to begin a potential reverse sweep. What are you going to learn, Zevidal Boy? Not to go on Beals' Brigitte as Reaper. That is crazy.
That was a really good, and this is exactly what UNI needed. They needed to get back into this, feel good. I feel like they were dominant the entire way through. They played together. They cycled through ultimates. They communicated. They got the picks. They win the team fights, and they've got the most team kills. Absolutely. And
yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt you there, but this Mei play by Gandoof was devastating for UNI.
Yeah, but it didn't stop UNI's momentum, I feel like, overall throughout the map. So UNI, one step away from a reverse sweep here, or I guess 2 steps away. They still got to win out all the way to game 5, but they're slowly chinking in to that 2-1 series advantage now for Montevallo. So,
and I'm proud of UNI. I just got to say, Flashpoint is a really tough game mode. Especially when you're like back against the wall like UNI is, already down 2 games. You're like, man, that's tough. So I'm really proud of UNI able to get that win in there. But now they're looking at another tough game mode in this game 4. They're looking at push, and for push, the map pool is Coliseo, Esperanza, and New Queen Street. I don't really have a preference in all 3 of these maps, but you know, we're going to have to see UNI lock it in, and they're going to have to be really, really careful here.
Right. So, and of course, how kind of the pool situation works, I believe that map selection is now going to be on the side of So UM's going to select the map. I believe we're going to play Coliseo. Of course, why change it? It's the typical standard map that we usually see. Don't really have a need for Esperanza or New Queen Street. Maybe you could see New Queen Street if you want to kind of play more into that brawly type, but that's not necessarily what UM's wanting to play into. They want to play something that they can play Hazard, and they want to play something that they can, utilize Zevidal Boy and Gandoof's Mei. All right, so I feel like the ban
feel like UNI's got to ban Mei here, man. I think they
Oh,
have to ban
absolutely.
Mei here.
They have to. Or they could also, well, they can't ban Hazard because they just banned Hazard last map. So I would, yeah, definitely go with the Mei ban. They have to go with the Mei ban, as it looks like the ban for is going to be Cassidy, which, considering how much value on that off angle, like you mentioned before, Joe, with Pop Tart, I feel like this is the right selection for And of course, I feel like the right selection for UNI is that Mei.
Yeah, I honestly, okay, I may be changing my mind a little bit here. I think if you're UNI right now and you're thinking we have to win a game 5, we have to completely reverse sweep. I'm thinking about how on game 5 we're gonna be looking at escort, and Mei is a really, really, really good in escort. So maybe you save the Mei ban here, but you gotta lock in and think about how you're gonna
So,
answer the Mei on Colosseo, because Mei is also good on Colosseo.
yeah, so then would the ban be Reaper and take away Zevidal Boy? Take away the Reaper? Would that be?
I don't know because Beals was like hard countering, like stomping Zevidal Boy's Reaper that game. So I don't know. Looks like is gonna ban Cassidy from UNI, so no more Pop Tart or was Pop Tart on Cassidy or was McGoated on Cassidy? I can't remember.
Say that one more time. Sorry, I was reading their chat.
Pop Tart Cassidy or McGoated Cassidy?
Pop Tart Cassidy.
So no more Cassidy for Pop Tart this game. And UNI, I thought they were gonna ban Mei, but maybe they're banning Juno.
So what they said is that you can't ban Mei, which I don't know why you can't ban Mei because that's not tracking on my sheet, at least for me.
UNI
So
didn't ban Mei yet, though, did they?
No, they haven't yet.
Huh.
UNI's ban was Ana, Sojourn, and Hazard. So they could have
Interesting.
banned Mei.
Well, if I'm
then they
UNI
were
right
like,
now, I'd look to win this and then definitely ban Mei on escort, because I can't tell you how many games of escort I've played where there's a Mei on the other team and I'm a tank and I just like get walled and I'm like and I just die.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah, I'm
So
interested to see what teams pick here.
yeah, and of course the UNI ban instead of Mei, which I 100% believe that they could have banned Mei, was going to be Juno. So the Juno ban is coming out for UNI. Of course, UNI hasn't played a Juno at all, and it's going to be a Wu Young and a Kiriko combination for the Falcons. So really interesting how that's going to play in. But Deep Sea flashing the Orisa. How much do you want to like maybe play Orisa into this? But because you're playing into an Hazard, would it be a good idea to maybe play JQ here?
I don't think so. I think that JQ, like the sight lines are too big and long on this map, and JQ is just gonna get picked off and chipped away before she can actually get in there. So kind of the same reason you might not want to pick Ryan on this map. I think you might. I don't know if he plays Sigma or how strong Sigma is, but you can make Sigma work on this map pretty well. As Deep Sea gonna find that pick straight away onto Gandoof. I'm not really sure what happened there, but great job UNI. Pop Tart looking on the Widowmaker here. Maybe gonna find a pick onto Kiriko.
He's thinking about it.
Oh, and he finds it. Nice shot.
That
UNI
was
looking strong
really
so
nice.
far.
Yeah, and of course, you know, we're playing these long sight lines. Of course, you do have the Javelin for Deep Sea. If you want that extension, of course, you're able to zone out right here with this. And already UNI continuing their momentum from the last game, able to go ahead, push back to the spawn. And this Mei has not been, I guess it's only been the first couple minutes, but has not been.
Well, I think I think the Orisa pick by Deep Sea is just so good here because you can just blast through the Mei wall if you really need to.
Absolutely.
And you don't get frozen. Gandu finding the pick on a Deep Sea though, a little bit of a cast of curse by me maybe. As are going to be getting control of the robot here.
Yeah, UNI. McGoated able to go ahead and pick up Gandoof, but does get traded out by Zevidal Boy. And UNI going to be needing to regroup here. Don't get staggered, as it looks like Inquiry going to use Tidal Blast on EasyJ. He's able to go ahead and pick up Beals, so UNI does get staggered. But the biggest thing about Flashpoint, Joe, we haven't mentioned, if you win the first team fight, if you're the other team, you got to win the next two just to get on a level playing field.
Yeah, and that just gets more and more true, and you got to win more and more team fights as you start pushing the bot further and further forward, especially when you get the forward spawn. set up, but Pop-Tart going to be having the Widowmaker Infra Sight ready to use, not quite ready to pop it. Not really sure what we're thinking there. Wuyong, Beals looking, maybe going to use their Tidal Blast here. A lot of ults ready to use for UNI. Here comes the Infra Sight coming out from UNI. Bana looking for a pick. Does not know that the map geometry here sucks. It's going to be wasting their time as UNI making huge space in this hallway here. Trying to find a pick. Pop-Tart wins that 1v1 really quick on the Kiriko. A little bit of a misplay from Bana there as UNI going to be feasting on the rest of Bana's team. Magoda getting caught out in that small room, but meanwhile Beals and Deep Sea getting some trades at the same time as Zevadol Boy. It's a 3v3 on the point right now, Hunter.
Yeah.
Deep Sea's trying to get this from Zevadol Boy Reaper. There we go.
Yeah, able to go ahead and do it, able to get it off point as Deep Sea, you know, able to go ahead and get that stagger. Of course, UNI going to regroup onto the robot. What seemed to be what UNI was going to kind of lose that team fight, but they were able to go ahead and rally around and, of course, communicate, and UNI is going to have to get back together.
But look at the ult economy on UM here. UNI are about to topple, I'm calling it.
All right,
Here comes the
Kitsune
Kitsune
Rush is going to initiate here for UM. The Falcons looking to focus down Deep Sea. Deep Sea's going to harden. Oh my gosh, Death Blossom comes out for UNI. I was trying to think of the name. I was blanking as Zevadol Boy is going to finally go down. Of course,
and Deep Sea blocked the downpour from EasyJ there, completely invalidating it. UNI are going to have a huge swing off of that, Hunter, as they find 2 picks onto UNM.
Absolutely.
Or not UNM, just UM.
Yeah, just UM. And that's the other big thing, too, is now UNI is looking pretty good on the ult economy. Of course, it's about even. It was positive to UM. But UM didn't find the value on the Inquiry Tidal Blast either. I don't know which character it ended up hitting, but it found 0 value. As here we go, Zevadol Boy going to go ahead, get traded out. Kitsune Rush now comes out for UNI. Pop-Tart going to swap to the Freya, so something interesting to note there. Inquiry's going to pick up Cheryl Sim. And Bana able to go ahead with the Kunai pick up Beals. Yep.
Making space for UNI. Here comes a Blizzard again from Gandoof. Gonna get picked off. Meanwhile, Deep Sea's able to just fortify and run out of it. Not good enough, though, as he ends up going down to EasyJ. As members of UM are finally going to get control of the robot here and start their push again. Hunter, I started to say at the start of that last fight, I really, really like the game knowledge from Deep Sea there. Picking this Orisa, you're able to just completely invalidate the downpour if you walk up to the front of it and then press E on Orisa and spin your little javelin. It just completely gets rid of it. But
yeah,
we got to be careful here because look, Zevadol Boy's getting in behind UNI with the Death Blossom. He's going to be wraithing out, not trying to go in with it. Meanwhile, McGoated is trying to make some space. We see the Sojourn pick come out from Gandoof. They have had enough of trying to make May work, but Deep Sea takes down Zevadol Boy as he uses his Death Blossom. That's huge for UNI. Meanwhile, EasyJ getting the pick onto Beals there. Gonna be tying it up. It's a 4v4, but UNI's down to support. They got to be careful. Now it's a 3v4 because Deep Sea and McGoated picked up two kills for UNI there. 2v4. UNI want more blood.
Absolutely, and Pop-Tart, you know, swapping to the Freya, really great DPS, kind of get that elevation, and especially something like a map like Coliseo, where you really kind of need that kind of elevation movement to really get an off angle going here. I feel like UNI's doing a great job, and just like that, they will go ahead and get forward spawns. So a little bit more advantage for UNI from the spawns.
Okay, a lot of ults coming out.
Gonna come
rush
out
in the downpour. Oh,
and McGoated able to find one. Deep Sea able to pick up Zevadol Boy, of course. McGoade's going to finally go down. Inquiries with Wuyong. Going to try work in the back line, but he's going to try and escape. EasyJ is going to be fighting on point. And able to pick up Cheryl Sim, but it's still going to be against Deep Sea. Trying to push him off point, can't quite get there. And EasyJ still trying to stay alive as Pop-Tart goes down. And the cast of characters trying to support Deep Sea are not there. He's down to 1 HP, finally goes down. And a good team fight there for UM, but UNI with that spawn advantage.
Yeah, it's kind of tough for UNI. I mean, that fight wasn't the worst for them, but it wasn't the best, and it's becoming even worse for them as they trickle here. Here's going to be, I don't know about this one, the Wuyong Tidal Blast on Inquiries used it on somebody, I don't know who, on the UM there, and I don't know if that was good, but they do find the pick on the Pop-Tarts Freya. Going to continue that stagger. That's really bad for UNI. They need to stem. Okay, they're going to just keep going in here. The Terror Surge on and the Tidal Blast onto the Orisa, it's not going to be enough. It's just going to make some space. Meanwhile, EasyJ going to be going up onto the bridge here, trying to get members of UNI. He finds Beals. Deep Sea getting annihilated by everybody on UNI needs to stop this Trickle Hunter. They need to stop the stagger. They need to regroup really quick. They need to stop going for the 1v1s or the 1v3s because it's not working. As McGoated went for another 1v1 here and ends up turning it into a 1v2/1v3 as he gets walled off in there.
Yeah, and not only that, but now forward spawn advantage comes out for the Falcons. You also got to be mindful that they're also winning the ult economy there too. And like you said, it's just these staggers that are just so unfortunate, as Deep Sea is going to go ahead, go on to the JQ. Zevidal Boy able to find some value on Deep Sea. McGoated, though, able to take out Bana into UNI. Kitsune Rush, same thing for the Falcons. They're going to use Kitsune Rush as well. Pop-Tart again trying to get that off-angle pick off the high ground, but unfortunately UNI just has no front line because McGoated, Beals go down. Where is Deep Sea in that team fight? Unfortunate, as it looks like this point's finally going to get ticked over in favor for UM.
Yeah, so UNI are finally starting to lose the lead here, and they're going to have to come back pretty hard from this. They're going to have to win a bunch of team fights, including this one. Deep Sea trying to make space as the JQ, leading the charge into battle here. McGoated having to run back, but the Tidal Blast onto EasyJ's Hazard in the heart of UNI. They find 2 picks onto UNI, 3 picks. Pop-Tart got a trade in there, but they are down 3 members, and it is tough to come back from that.
Yeah.
Bot's still pushing.
Yeah, Bot's still pushing, and UNI, I feel like the swap to JQ maybe wasn't exactly the play there.
I agree.
Really
I think Orisa was working.
Orisa was the play, as Gandoof is going to go back onto the Sojourn now, able to get some high charge, but McGoated able to pick up Gandoof. Maybe this is the angle that UNI is looking for. Deep Sea able to pick up Bana, and trapping EasyJ in the little compartment. He trapped himself. Is he trapping himself?
Yeah, I don't know what was thinking there, going into that tiny room as a team, and also EasyJ walling them in there. It's kind of sus. But UNI are able to get control of the bot here, Hunter, but look how far ahead is there. UNI's gonna have to win a couple of team fights here.
Yes, they will, and it's gonna be here with less than 30 seconds left to play.
Yeah, they do have some ults, but I don't know.
They do have some ults, but they're gonna be limited to that robot, and I feel like UNI, needs that off angle if they want to go ahead and get some value. Downpour comes out, but Pop-Tart able to go ahead, find some value with the Freya ult. However, 2 members of UNI go down. Kitsune Rush comes out for UNI, trying to sustain, but EasyJ kind of in the back line. Nice play for UNI as Deep Sea able to go into the back line. However, I don't think it's going to be enough, as multiple members from both teams go down into the Bana Kitsune Rush as overtime ticks over. This could be it, Joe, as EasyJ is going to try and take down Deep Sea. Deep Sea does finally go down.
UNI finally coming back, though, off that respawn, but Zevidal Boy waiting with the Death Blossom to crush UNI's hopes of winning this game. Cheryl Sim going to try to touch on the Lucio, so is Pop-Tart, but it is too little, too late, as UM defeat the Panthers 3-1.
Yeah, of course, we saw, in that flashpoint, the spark of hope, UNI checking all the boxes that they needed to do. Unfortunately, I feel where, UNI kind of lost it was that overcommit when UNI had that kind of spawn advantage, and then they started to stagger. And I believe that stagger is what killed the momentum, killed the play style, and just allowed characters like EasyJ on the Hazard able to go ahead and take as much space as you want. And then, of course, Zevidal Boy able to go ahead and kind of clean up the remaining pieces. Unfortunate that UNI does go down on their last game of the season. So maybe something that they can think about. Definitely some things to work in the shop as we head into the holidays. But here we go. Now the off season starts for UNI.
Yeah, unfortunate ending for UNI. Is there like a playoffs thing that they're in?
For UNI, since they lost, they were the 7th seed in the Central 6 division. So only the top 4 move on from, I believe it's East 6 and Central 6 that get to move on. Unfortunately, UNI is not in that top 4.
Damn. Well, really quick as we're wrapping up here, shout out to Melissa, but also if you guys want to support UNI, Panther Esports, and represent us, you can go and check out our merch link, type exclamation point merch, or click the merch button. It'll take you to guardianproline.com. There are t-shirts, jerseys, sweatshirts. You can customize the jerseys. If you guys want to support us more directly, you can click the donate button or click type exclamation point donate and click that link. We are trying to raise $10,000 for some new PC equipment this year. A lot of people dream of being able to play games and show off their skills in the best way possible, but it's kind of hard without the right gear, and sometimes it can be expensive. And every donation here would help a dream come true. You know, if we get more money, we can level up our lounge capacity, we can host more tournaments, we can build a bigger community, and we can help future esports generations do well right here at UNI. So type exclamation point donate if you want to support us that way. Otherwise, there's Discord, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram buttons. You can check those out. That's all I got.
Yeah. Later tonight, we're going to essentially have a triple header for you. Hopefully it's going to be on the main channel, but Rocket League is going to be playing tonight in their final matchup against Robert Morris University. Should be an exciting matchup. Of course, the Panthers might not be able to make a playoff spot. However, it should be an exciting final to their season as well. Also, catch us at 1 p.m. on Saturday. We are having the Northern Iowa Cup, the only Rocket League tournament in the state of Iowa. So the top 8 will go ahead and move on to the LAN side of things at Mocker Union. So would really like to see you come out and support your Panthers, either physically or here on the main channel. So if you can go ahead and do that. Of course, that will do it for us tonight on Overwatch. Unfortunately, UNI will finish the season 2-6. They will look forward to the spring semester as they continue through PCL. Joe, any final thoughts before we send it?
No, I just want to thank you for casting, and thanks Bill for doing production, and thank everybody for coming out tonight. Hope you guys have a good rest of your night and a good rest of your week.
Absolutely. Stay warm out there, and like always, go Cats.
Bracket, but I have high hopes for these guys. Colin goes to the backboard, double touch, and he gets it.
He's got sight and a good pick. Another good pick. And another. He's going crazy with it.
Oh! That was disgusting.